have defined our arguments for the number of insults that we're going to create, the number of adjectives each insult is going to have, and the random seed. And now let's talk about how we're going to make those selections in our program. We're going to need to define a list that's going to have all those um, insults that I gave you. And let's go back and find that list up here. So I don't expect you to type them. I'm going to highlight this. Let's see. No, we can't do that. Let me highlight that. And I'm going to create adjectives. And it's going to be a lot. Like I can start off with this bit, and then I can add in all of these. I am putting them in as one long string. Because I don't feel like typing each individual one, putting quotes around it, and putting commas in between. And I'm going to show you a shorthand way that I can do this. I can actually use triple quotes, which we have been using for our doc strings up here. And we're actually kind of abusing them as doc strings. And I'm going to show you why. Because we can these triple quotes allow us to create multiple strings that span multiple lines. And so they can incorporate new lines without creating a problem. And I can, I can format this so that they fit onto my screen a little better. I'm just going to introduce some line breaks here. And then I'm going to show you how we can then call split on this. And that is going to take this multiple lines, this long string that happens to incorporate some new lines, and we're going to split that. And let's just print our adjectives. Adjectives. I have to sound that out pretty much every time I write it. So if I run this now, I don't need to run it with any arguments. We see that it has created a list. We know it's a list because it has square brackets on either side, and it's a bunch of strings that have been separated by commas. That looks like a list to me. I could print the type. I can just verify. Did it actually create a list for us? Let's make sure. Yes, that created a list. So calling split on a string by default, actually let's look at that. Return a list of words in the string using the separator as the delimiter string. So by default, the separator is white space. Any white space, so that includes tabs and new lines and such. And those, the thing that it will split on will be discarded. So any spaces in between, any new lines in here, it's all going to be thrown away, and all I'm going to get back is just the words in between. That's extremely handy. Now let's do the same thing for our nouns. I can highlight these guys right here, and I will say nouns is going to be equal to start my triple quoted string. I'll paste these in here, and I'll end it, and then I'll introduce some new lines just to make this look a little nicer. And that is some pretty nice code. I need to call split on that. Otherwise, it would just be one long string. And if I want, I can just print my nouns. There. And I see that I now have two lists of strings for the adjectives and the nouns. And now I will need to learn, figure out how to randomly choose some of them. And we'll talk about that next.